Hey guys, this is Chris here. So I've been collecting for about 10 years now. Buy about one or two Hot Toys a month, and it turns out that if you buy one or two figures a month for 10 years, they add up really, really quickly, as you can see. So I thought it was about time that I make myself a collection video. I'll try and go through it, and I know you guys have better things to do with your day than listen to me talk about toys. So we'll try and go through this as quickly as possible. Alright. If we start up here, we can see the 1/6 Cities Ranger Arrow figure. There's also a few pieces on this I customized myself just to get it to be a little bit more show accurate. We also have this Flash figure. I'll probably change this to the Hot Toys one when the Hot Toys one comes out. You see here he's wearing the outfit by G-Wiz Customs, and also a few of the pieces that I got from the third-party Flash figure that I came out. Alright, if we look in the back, we can see that here's the recently released Zoom figure. It's actually really, really good for the price. So if any of you haven't picked him up yet and are a fan of Zoom, I'd recommend him. I also got Constantine here, and if you look in the back, you can see a super cheap Supergirl figure. I know there's another company that's making a better one that's going to be coming out pretty soon, so I'm probably going to upgrade that. And if you look in the back too, you could also see here's a custom Superman from the Supergirl series that I started. Never quite finished. Hopefully, with him being picked up for a TV show next year, they'll finally release a decent figure of him. So if we move down here, here's some kind of just random film heroes. I've got Agent K from Blade Runner 2049. I'm also going to probably pick up the Deckard figure that was recently released. I've got Hot Toys Neo back there, and the Hot Toys John Wick, and the Hot Toys Marty and Doc from Back to the Future 2. If we move down here, this is kind of one of the two video game shelves that I have. I've got the Hot Toys Arkham Batman, as well as the Arkham Knight, the Joker, and Deathstroke, as well as the Fallout 4 main character. I just kind of went with the default name Nate, just because I had to put something on the nameplate, and the Nuka-Cola Power Armor. And then finally down here, so this really doesn't have a theme, but I kind of go with the 80s icons with this. As you can see, we have 4 of the Hot Toys Michael Jackson figures, as well as a custom Marty McFly I made a few years ago, and a custom Steve Jobs figure. So if we move over to this cabinet right here, I'll start us off with Doctor Who. You can see that I have the War Doctor, as well as the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th Doctors. I don't know if I'm going to get the 13th Doctor yet. Honestly, I'm not a massive fan of the new series, but we'll see, if it gets better. I'm also probably going to pick up the 8th Doctor figure that I think just came out. If we move down here, this is my X-Men shelf. So most of these are third-party figures. I think Hot Toys, the only one that's Hot Toys is this Wolverine in the back. The rest of these are third-party, or even the Professor X. I actually pieced him together from pieces I bought on Toy Anxiety. So he's not the best figure I own, but still, I'm proud of him. Got Magneto, Storm, Iceman, 2 Wolverines, and a Cyclops. Alright, down here is the Captain America shelf, and actually considering how many figures I got crammed in here, didn't turn out too bad. We've got, of course, in the first movie, we've got the Rescue Cap, the USO Cap, and the regular Cap with a custom head sculpt, as well as the Red Skull there in the back. We've got the Winter Soldier, Cap and Steve Rogers, as well as the Winter Soldier back there. And at some point, I'm going to have to try and cram Peggy back there as well, if she'll fit. And then down here, this kind of Marvel TV. You see we've got Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, Luke Cage, and Ghost Rider from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., as well as the Punisher. I also gave the Punisher a custom shirt and custom shotgun just because I like him a little bit better that way. Look up here, this is actually the Nolan Batman shelf. So I have the DX2 and 12 Batman there, as well as Bane, Batman Begins Batman, Two-Face, Scarecrow, and finally Selina Kyle. Down here, these are kind of my TV heroes, as well as custom Rocketeer that I have right here. We see we got Walt, Jesse, Sherlock, and Dr. House. Moving down here, this is probably one of my most overcrowded shelves right now. You see I got 3 Assassin's Creed figures, as well as Joel from The Last of Us, as well as 3 figures from Uncharted. I'm going to see if I can get one of those Kai Studio head sculpts to replace the Uncharted 3 head, though, since never been a big fan of that Sideshow head. And finally, moving down here, we've got the horror figures. We've got a custom Michael Myers, and then a custom Rick Grimes and Dexter Morgan, as well as the Sideshow Ash figure, and this Silence of the Lambs figure that I forgot what company made this. It was third party, though. And finally, we got this Chucky down here that was made by NECA. Technically not quite a 1/6 scale figure, but I think he fits in nicely, so I'll let him stay. Moving over here, in this, we've got a Supernatural case. Now, out of the 5 figures in here, 4 are completely custom, as well as that Castiel with the tiny shrunken head back there. That one I'm definitely going to need to see if I can find some alternative for him, because I'm not digging that tiny head. I've got Dean, Sam, the official QMX Dean that came out last year, as well as a John Winchester figure. That was a grail of mine. Moving up here, we can see this is the Terminator shelf. We've got a T-800 from the first film, as well as a Sarah and John Connor, a T-1000, and of course famous Uncle Bob from T2. The one figure that isn't in here that I would really love to get someday is a Kyle Reese. He's one of my favorite characters in, from the 80s, and hopefully there will be a company that releases him at some point. Moving up here, you can see the Guardians shelf with pretty much all of the figures from the first film, plus Star-Lord from the second movie, and Yondu. And moving up here, this is kind of my classics of cinema shelf. So I've got a Daniel Craig James Bond, as well as a Marty McFly, Harry Potter, and Indiana Jones that was kind of pieced together from kind of different pieces around the internet. He's kind of a living work in progress, so I'm always kind of looking for new pieces to upgrade him with. Moving over here, you'll see my Game of Thrones shelf, which, considering how many figures are crammed in here, actually doesn't look all that bad. We've got a third-party Tywin figure, as well as Ned Stark and the Hound, then Jon Snow, Daenerys, Cersei, Tyrion, and a custom Jaime that I kind of pieced together. Not sure if I'm going to buy any more of these, though. Last season just kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. Now moving down here, this is probably my most packed shelf. I'm actually not too happy with how much this is all kind of crammed in here. Even though it doesn't have any more figures than a couple other shelves here. I think it's just because everyone has kind of super bulky clothes. It just kind of all looks crammed in there. But you can see that this is my Harry Potter shelf. I've got a Harry, Dumbledore, and Sirius, as well as Voldemort, Snape, Dobby, Hermione, and Bellatrix. So moving down here, you're probably not going to recognize these next group of figures, because they are all custom, and they're from my favorite book series called The Cosmere, written by Brandon Sanderson. If you guys haven't heard of it, I highly recommend it. But we've got Kaladin from Way of Kings, as well as Elend, Vin, and Kelsier from Mistborn, and then Wax and Wayne from The Alloy of Law. So hopefully a couple of you out there will know who they are. And finally, wrapping up this shelf is book characters down here. We've got a custom Harry Dresden and Michael Carpenter from the Dresden Files, as well as Wesley from The Princess Bride, and Hannibal Lecter from Hannibal TV show, as well as I think it was 3-0 Katniss Everdeen that was released. I'm actually a big fan of the Hunger Games series, so it was cool to get a figure of that. Now moving over here, we've got the Action Heroes shelf. We've got Harry Hart from Kingsman, Jack Harper from Oblivion, as well as a custom Ethan Hunt from Mission Impossible, and John McClane from Die Hard. And then back there we have got a Dredd and Anderson from the new Dredd movie. Moving up here, this is kind of my Starship shelf. We've got James Kirk and Spock from original Star Trek series, as well as Captain Picard and custom Admiral Adama from Battlestar Galactica. Moving up here, we got our Firefly shelf. These customs were actually what got me into 1/6 collecting about 10 years ago. Those of you that were around back then, you'll know that when Trevor Grove made these heads, these were kind of a big deal back in the day. So happy to have an almost full set, but we've got 7 out of the 9 cast of Firefly in here, and hopefully someday we'll have the other 2. Now, moving up here towards this last shelf in this kind of Detolf series, it started off as a Superman shelf, but obviously it kind of branched out a little bit as time went on. So we've got the Henry Cavill Superman from Man of Steel with a Batman v Superman head, as well as a custom Clark Kent from Smallville. In addition, we've got the Christopher Reeve Superman and Wonder Woman with a few parts from the Justice League version. Coming up here, we have got our Infinity War shelf. We've got Cap, War Machine, Iron Man, Iron Spider, Doctor Strange, Groot, Rocket, Thor, and Winter Soldier. As well, we kind of got a custom Tony Stark kind of shoved back there. Honestly, this shelf is kind of crammed together. I'm not really fond of the way it looks. So there's going to be some changes as time goes on. Hopefully next collection video, there'll be some big changes. As well, this is kind of a custom Phase 3 shelf. We've got T'Chaka, Black Panther, and Killmonger, as well as the 10th anniversary Cap, and then Loki, Hela, and Thor from Ragnarok. Finally, up here, so these are some of my oldest figures. Actually, Iron Man 1 is what got me into collecting in the first place. You see, we have the Marks 1 through 6, all die-cast, as well as the Mark 47. We've also got the Shotgun, Silver Centurion, and Heartbreaker, as well as the 42 from Iron Man 3. We've got the Autopsy Suit, and War Machine Mark 1 and 2, as well as Iron Patriot. And way back there, we got the very old original Mark 2 figure, and that was actually my first Hot Toys figure. So if we want to swing over here to the other side of the room, these are the Star Wars Detolfs. Got two of them. Starting over here is kind of our New Hope central cast. We've got Leia, Luke, and Han, as well as the Sideshow R2, C-3PO, and Chewie. This kind of rounds out the New Hope cast. We've got Darth Vader, Luke, Obi-Wan, Grand Moff Tarkin, the original Stormtrooper. Down here we've got our Empire shelf with the very old Empire Strikes Back Luke Skywalker's Hot Toys collection. We've got a Hot Toys Yoda there, as well as a Boba Fett and Leia. And then back there, that is actually a custom Han Solo in carbonite figure that I bought on eBay for like $50. Painted it up in gunmetal, and you know, it's not the Sideshow figure, but I think it looks pretty good back there. Then our Return of the Jedi shelf. We have got Emperor Palpatine, Luke, Darth Vader, Royal Guard, as well as a custom Slave Leia. Down here we have got the Sideshow Episode 1 Obi-Wan, as well as Count Dooku and Darth Maul. Also, Qui-Gon's coming out pretty soon, and hopefully I will be able to pick him up and set him in here. And then over here we have got Jyn Erso, the Mythos Obi-Wan, as well as Anakin and Obi-Wan from Episode 3. Coming down here, we have got our Episode 7 shelf, with Finn, a Stormtrooper, Han, Kylo Ren, Rey, and BB-8. And then finally, the last shelf in this series is our kind of Episode 8 shelf with Kylo, Rey offering the lightsaber to Luke, and finally an old Luke. Not really sure if I'm going to pick up any Rise of Skywalker figures, not because I didn't like the film, I actually thought it was okay, but just because there's not much room here, and especially Kylo and Rey would kind of feel redundant at this point. Alright, so moving over here, we've got this Best of bookcase that is kind of our Avengers collection in there. Move down here, I'll start with our Avengers 1 collection. We have got, actually, Hulk from Age of Ultron. I just put him down there because I didn't really have a place to put him. The original Ant-Man. Got Hot Toys Stan Lee, as well as our 3 S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, Nick Fury, Phil Coulson, and Maria Hill. And then back there, we've got our Avengers 1. We've got Loki, Hawkeye, the brand new diecast Mark 7. The Hot Toys Cap, I'm probably going to replace him when the new version comes out. As well as Thor, and Banner is kind of awkwardly tucked back there. Another reason why I'm going to have to reorganize this collection is because everything's kind of crammed together, and I'm not a big fan of the look. Moving up here, this is our Civil War shelf. We have got Scarlet Witch, Hawkeye and Cap, Ant-Man, Winter Soldier, Iron Man, Falcon, Black Panther, as well as Spider-Man, Black Widow, and War Machine. And then finally our Age of Ultron shelf up here. Less characters, so it's a bit less crammed together, but still could be a little bit better. We've got Thor, Hawkeye, Scarlet Witch, Iron Man, Vision, Black Widow, Quicksilver, and Captain America. And finally, this is a shelf I'm the least proud of. This kind of started as a miscellaneous shelf, but as you see, pretty much everything is crammed in here now, to the point where you can't even see some of the figures in the back. We've first of all got the 3 figures from the Spider-Man video game. And behind him you can sort of see Deadpool, as well as the training Wonder Woman and the Thor 2 Loki. Then in the back, you can't really even see him anymore. We got the ancient one from Doctor Strange, as well as the first Doctor Strange figure. And finally the homemade suit Spider-Man, the 2 original Spider-Mans, and my newest figure that I actually just got for Christmas, Peggy Carter. And up here is the Power Rangers collection. So this is all the Figuarts figures, as well as the Megazords, and a couple of extra figures that just came out. And we move over here, now we see the TARDIS, the Weeping Angel, Thanos, and Colossus from Deadpool. You may be wondering who this handsome fella is. Well, this is actually me. I had this made up at a store in the Mall of America when I went a couple years ago. And, you know, it's not quite in scale with all the other figures, but when I saw that they were putting out 12-inch models of people, like, I definitely got to get one of these for the collection. So anyways, this is pretty much my collection. As you can see, we've got a few space issues going on, so hopefully when I next post a video, we'll work these out a little bit. Here, I'll show you guys something right here. See this Ellie figure I got a couple months ago? I literally have nowhere to put her right now, just because all of the details are also packed up. So we are definitely going to have to figure out some way to decongest these, especially decongest that mess up there. Especially, I got actually 6 more figures coming pretty soon. So the Ace Toys Power Ranger figures, I've had them on pre-order for 2 years. They are finally about to come in, and when they do, I have nowhere whatsoever to put them. So I'm thinking of maybe getting a couple Bestas and actually putting them on top of the detail shelf. You guys can let me know what you think. And also, one thing I want to show you because you're here, is I actually had these stands printed up custom for those Power Ranger figures that are coming out. You guys can actually buy them on eBay right now. I let the guy who offered to print them up for me, I said, hey, if you want to print these up, you're free to use my designs and sell them. So no bad blood there. You can also see my little cosplay stuff behind that. But looking forward to getting those. And also, I think the new Two-Face figure is coming in. So anyways, guys, hope you will excuse the mess. But other than that, that is my collection. Let me know what you guys think. And anyways, it was a